Test 16, Ricky. Okay, another mission to the moon in real time on my big ol' ass spacecraft. Friggin' monster, this thing. 4 boosters, liquid fueled, 4 solid rocket motors, 4 main Sol engines. This is the KW Titan 1, I believe. The center, quite a bit more powerful. Center stack is 3-stage. Big ol' ass moon lander. 2-stage, ascent stage and descent stage. When I pop the fairing on this, you're going to see how wide the legs are, and because they were so wide, I had to have a big wide fairing on here. I originally built this with a diameter of these, and the fairing looked a little weird. It was just a little too big for the size of the diameter. Picture the diameter being this. So I redid the whole center stack at this diameter, and it made the fairing look a lot better. It made it look a lot more proportional, but it had a hell of a lot of weight. To show you how heavy this thing is, this thing weighs over 1,000 tons. By comparison, the Apollo was about 480, 500. So this thing's over double the weight. And a lot of people are going to say overkill, but this is what it took me to get this big craft to the moon. The second stage alone is powered by a dual Gemini engine. Came from the FASA mod. I do use quite a few mods, and I use them because it gives me functions that I wouldn't normally have. It gives me parts that I wouldn't normally have. So everybody kind of dials in this game on how they want to play it. And on this particular one, for me, I choose to play with the mods I have. This is 1.43, the latest version. So let's get this thing going. The 4 engines are lit. See right there? And I needed them to be lit to give me the power that I needed. The center stack is not lit. It will light when the boosters, the solids, separate. Pure power, baby. There goes my center. Look how long it takes to stabilize this thing. This is like 3 buses in orbit. You can imagine how much it takes just to spin one of these things around. I think I got another craft up there. You know what happened? I was making a video earlier and my game crashed and I got right here, and I'll be damned if it kept it there. Forgot to deploy my solar panels. Hoping I don't come out of warp. My batteries are dead. I had that happen to me before.
Yep, having it over. Next year, you're looking there from the center ramp. They won't even the center right. That everybody weather still in signals. That net open your door. Take it, leave it, slow down, leave my feet, take down, and scan it.
Yep, had to build back up a little bit. One of those solar panels not being out.
Need simmer on it. Go ahead and get your.
Whenever I'm moving a spacecraft around, I always have to roll this thing so I know which way's up and down. I always have a hard time figuring that out to get it to where it moves with the WASP keys right. Where when you have your side movement, it doesn't end up going up and down instead. Trying to line this puppy up, but I gotta let the mothercraft get away a little bit so I don't hit it when I fire this thing the last time. See, right now, it looks like I might hit that solar panel. Whoa. Well, I think I'm okay. Let's find out. Whoa. Let's do our inclination first. Make sure we're going to come in at the right plane. Got a J2 engine on here from the faster mod. Set up our periapsis, 30 kilometers. We'll to a fixed time again. Let him get in position.
No, they're good on us. They don't think that down the way. They go within the stuff. Gotta shoot their guts right on the highway. Oh, that's the folk getting their share of my here. Yeah, we will sell them.
Mile and a half difference. I'll take it. Spin her around. Since the landing craft will be separating that direction. Now you can see why I have those girders out there for those legs. See, to give me a little bit of distance on those legs, because this craft is so tall. Comparison purposes, the Apollo limb The whole thing is about this big. This thing is about 3 times longer than the hollow limb. Therefore, I wanted to get those legs out there to give me as much stability as I could when I landed. It's hard to get a proper appreciation of how big this thing is. When it's landed and you see a kerbal next to it, you can start to appreciate how big this thing is. These tanks that I'm using for fuel that I put in manually, those are twice as long as a kerbal. Gives you a little idea how big this craft really is. Alright, let's get an idea where we want to land this guy. That's pool hall. A little bit away from it so I don't land on top of it. I like landing on coordinates, but to do that you have to have something down there. So you have coordinates to put in there. Make the others landing this, not me. I prefer to let the computer do it. Plus I like the movements a lot better. They're a lot smoother than what I could do, and I just like when I play this game, I like to play it as realistic as I can. And when you start taking manual control over stuff, even though there's a challenge in doing it, for me, when I watch it being done, I just don't like the way it looks, because the movements are too jerky. And it kind of, when you kind of start flying it manually, it starts to become more toy-like, in my opinion, and less realistic on how a rocket ship would really fly, which is what I'm all about. See, now I start looking at the fuel, even though I have plenty. I brought up these external tanks on both the ascent stage and the descent stage to give me extra fuel. And a couple of reasons for that is, one, I like having extra fuel, and for another reason, it gives me a couple extra things to do in the game, which I find pretty cool. So I could drain them one at a time, or I could drain them all at once. Let's go ahead and set it up. I do it both ways. Sometimes I'll do it all at once, sometimes I'll do it one at a time. And I'll kind of wait a minute. We're looking at 90, about 180, 630, 530, 430. I could put them in right now. So we're draining these guys. Okay, sucked them dry. Now we have 4 empty fuel tanks. And I'll be jettisoning these guys as we get a little bit closer. I do the same thing with the ascent stage. Even though I don't technically need the fuel, again, I think it looks cool. It gives me extra things to do. And I like doing them. So of course this whole thing is going down from the mothership, but the only thing that's coming back up is the ascent stage and the capsule, and all these tanks will be gone. Of course this is going to be left on the moon. Things I added to the ascent stage is I put these ullage motors on the tanks. So when I separate to launch back off the moon, these will light to give me a little boost on the ascent, which looks cool as hell. And I'm going to get ready to cut these guys loose. Go. There's my landing site down there. You can see I got quite a few craft around it, because I've been here before. Looks like those are going to impact right in that crater. Go. Let's do a quick save in case my coordinates aren't quite right and I need to redo it. See, the more ships you get down there, the more you have to pay attention to the coordinates. going to end up landing on top of one of the other ships that you already sent down there. This might get a little dicey here. Whoa. Might just have got a little bit. Whoa, I might have got a little bit too close here. Man, oh man. This might be the diciest one yet. I might have to redo this one. Man, I don't know about this one. Holy crap, I can't call this one. I might gotta land right in between those, or I'm gonna hit one of them. Oh man. Holy shit, dude. I'm gonna make it. Wow. That is about as close as I want to get it. And you can see what I was talking about the height of this craft. See, I'm already at an angle. And if I would have had those legs strapped to the side of this rocket, it would be very difficult to land it. Plus it would just look weird. See how this looks nice? Looks more proportionate. And there's a couple of the Apollo, of previous flights. And there's my base. So let's take a Kerbal out of there. We can see how big this craft is. Okay. give you an idea right there, especially being this close to this other craft. I mean, look at the size of that thing. That's just the descent stage. That is what you call one big ass rocket. One of the reasons why I fly it so much. I mean, this thing just has a coolness factor of like way the hell up there. And I tell you right now, my processor is working overtime right now. I am like a slideshow. I got so much shit going on right here. This game is processing all these parts. Look at that big ol' ass guy. Whoa. And there is one of my bases. You can see I got some nuclear reactors going on, some radiators. That's one good sized base. That probably holds, nah, probably holds about 30 kerbals. And I got 12 of these guys up here. All various shapes and sizes. All courtesy of this guy right here called HyperEdit. It's a mod that lets you build any mod that you can dream up in the spaceplane hangar, build it complete, and then set it down on whichever planet you want. Lets me do things that I could not normally do. I mean, there's just no way I could build a base like this and fly it up there in pieces. Just not happening. Not like this. You can also use this for space stations, which I don't do. I have 3 space stations around Kerbin, one around the moon and one around Minmus. And I did those manually. I put those up, flew them up there, docked them. Took me quite a long time to do that because there's a lot of flights, because those stations that I build are pretty big. But this is beyond, this is something like this is beyond that. You know, it's one thing to put parts up, fly them up and dock them in space. It's a whole other thing to bring pieces down and build them on a planet. And like I said, my hat's off to the guys who do that stuff manually, but you aren't going to do anything like this that way. And that's what it's all about for me. It's all about having stuff that looks like this, all vastly different from each other. I'm proud of all these stations because of the time involved to build one in the space plane hangar. You know, it probably took me, well, just a rough guess by looking at this one, I'm going to say it took me about 4 hours to build that probably. And this one's, with all my other bases, I would say it's like right in the middle. I have some smaller and I have a couple even bigger than this. But it's just cool, just when I come down, because this is primarily where I live. You know, I go to the moon in Mimas. I have bases on Mimas too. And this is just how I like to play the game. To be honest with you, I've been playing this game for about 6 months. And I've watched video after video on how to get to Duna. I still don't have a clue how to do it. It just seems to be beyond my grasp. Like my brain, it just bakes my brain. Minmus and the moon I can handle. Duna and the outer planets, right now they're just a dream for me. Because I just don't know how to get there. One of these days I'll probably figure it out and go, okay, that's how you do it. But as of right now, this is my backyard right here. This is where I hang out. I just come up here, you can see I got my little neighborhood going on over here already. I got a lot of Kerbals in there, all looking out the window going, hey dude, what's happening? You bring us anything? And what I do is, I bring Kerbals up, courtesy of that guy right there, since it'll hold 6. Sometimes I might bring 6 guys down here, put them in, leave, and remotely fly this home. Or sometimes I'll take 6 out of here, put them in there, take 6 guys that have been in there for 6 months, put them back in the spacecraft, take them home. That's just the kind of stuff I like to do. Never gets old. And without this guy right here, I wouldn't be doing none of this. Another program that goes hand in hand with this one is this guy right here called Vessel Mover. Basically, you put this craft down, and then you can pick it up with Vessel Mover, and you can put it any place you want on the moon. And if you look at my map, you'll see this is the plane I always come in at. Same plane that the moon rotates around Kerbin. So all my craft are spread along this plane. And that took considerable time, even using Vessel Mover, to place these craft. You can see I got them spread out pretty well. Or when I visit, I have a lot of options. I got a lot of different places I can come down, or I can just land right in the middle of one if I want to just spread craft out. I do that quite a bit too. So when I land right here, I've probably got 2 or 3 other craft within walking distance where I can go check them out. Because that's just the kind of guy I am. So what I'm going to do, since I got him out, let's take him over here. We're going to leave this guy here just for this video. You can see one of my previous flags. Man, I can't believe how much my movement is. You know, this game is all about a part count. When you get up to be, I mean, you can imagine how many parts are in this thing. Plus I got all these craft around here. You can imagine how many parts the game's processing right now. Probably over 1,000 parts. And the old CPU is going, damn dude. So let's go ahead and see if my ladders are working. Now the one thing about building one of these bases, you better get it right because that's what you're stuck with. And I have a couple of these where I placed my ladders wrong. This might be one of them where I couldn't get in. Let's see if this one's going to do that. Oh, this one is doing it. This is one of my mistakes. Leave that crap. See, I placed this ladder wrong. God damn it. All of them are wrong. I think they needed to be lower. Where, God damn it. That sucks too. Because the station's already built and there isn't a damn thing I can do about it now. So I'm going to have to do this a different way. I think I got a ladder on the other side. That I placed right, but I'm going to do this way. Cannot board a full module. So, alright, let's try over here. See, that one's full, so they're saying, dude, you can't come in. So they're going to see if we can go in this door. Okay, let me in. These are all my kerbals that are in this space station. This mod called Portrait Stat shows the emblem, so you can look at it and see who's in what. You point to it, see, it'll highlight, and it'll tell you where each one is. And you can see how many guys I have in here already. That's the flag. Okay, so I need to go back one more. Okay, there we go. Back in the craft. Okay, now we need to get this situated for takeoff. So we're going to go to the foliage motors. Let's go see where the other guy is. He's right there. I'm right here. So let's warp him around a little bit. I like to put him somewhere around 90 degrees or so. Let's go ahead and select him, set him as target. launch to rendezvous. See how much longer I have to wait. So it's telling me 7 minutes before launch. Just warp a little bit. And there it is. There's the mothership. And when I blast off, I might have some debris hit the sky. You can see my countdown is 11 seconds. So when this gets down to 11 seconds, I will engage the autopilot. Now you're going to see these motors light. Once it gets up, then the set motor will kick in. There goes my motor. Perfect. One of the reasons why I fly MechJeb is because, as I said before, I like the looks of it. I like the way it makes the movement behavior. I like that it makes me feel like I'm programming a computer, like the astronauts would be doing. And one of the other reasons why I use it is because the Kerbals, they won't give me a rookie flight suit. And I've been asking for one for the longest time. They won't give me one. The only suit that they'll give me is one that says "Eat at Joe's" on it. And that's it. That's all I get. And then they make fun of me when I walk by. They all slap "Kick Me" stickers on my back. Yep, that's my stature with them guys. They think I don't notice, but I do. They're a bunch of little bastards is what's happening. But one of these days, they're going to give me a rookie flight suit. But for right now, I just tell them, fuck you, Kerbies. I got MechJeb. Okay, I think we can do. Let's go ahead and start emptying these tanks. Should have already done this. I was talking too much. I normally cut those loose. Even though we're up pretty high, we're not in orbit yet, so they will go all the way back down. The only little bit of space junk I'm going to have on this mission is that one little separator that I separated when I sent the mothership and landing rocket.
Well, most of the shit fell off the
Or
village
when I
and
separated the
I'm
landing
gonna
rocket from the mothership. So I got a separator up there that I'm going to have to go manually get rid of. There she is. What I could have done is I could have, before I started my inclination burn, I could have separated the landing craft and the mothership, turned it around and docked it. Then, that was before I started my trajectory, so then that separator would have slammed into the moon. But since I didn't do it that way, I have a separator that's orbiting around the moon right now. In fact, there's my tanks. In fact, there it is right there. There's that separator just hanging out. My lone piece of space junk. And I don't know if this guy's going to disappear on me. See, sometimes I'll go right up to him and it'll be a short trip, and other times my plane won't be right and I might have to make 3 or 4 revolutions, and I'll lose sight of him until the planes are right and the altitudes are right. So we'll see what happens this time. See, we're going to get ready to go up to a 65-kilometer orbit, so I think I'm going to lose this guy because I'm going to be above him. There have been some flights that have been pretty cool where I've seen him the whole time from when I launched to when I docked. And those were like super cool ones. This isn't going to be one of those. See, right now when I warp, I'm going to lose him. Yep. Well, he's still visible. Yep, there he goes. See, I lost him. So I'm going to have to catch him on the backside. Yep, 3 hours. 3.43 phasing orbits. See, right now, the computer's doing all this processing, getting the orbital mechanics just right, or I'm going to be able to find this guy again. There he comes.
you know, scare of it. Nah, yes, if I had no fight, you were gonna get me. Jetzt nicht warm neben, you know, some good night. Scroll, see, there's your pot, you know, get the, you know, guys, better than I'm gonna get.
Okay, there was our maneuver. And now we're just going to do the fine tuning. Let's find out where I'm at now. There he is. So let's position him a little bit differently. This is what I was talking about. Orientating this guy so I know which way's up and down. And right now, I'm way off. My sideways is up and down because it's not orientated right. I don't want him pointing up like that, so I'm going to move him to the side a little bit. See, I got to reset. See, that's weird. That's kind of a... That's like a deal in mech jab or something.
Buddy. Yeah.
Now it's going to make the maneuvers. And this is still going to be end up facing up, which is going to give me this, which I was trying to avoid. That's just kind of a personal deal with me. I tried to get each craft to be in the backdrop of space like this where I could see him more clear. It'll be coming into view of the docking cameras here pretty quick. This one's not turning out too bad. See, this is what I was talking about. This is why I like them in the backdrop of space, so I can see the thrusters. Because if this was all the way over here, this white would drown out the thrusters. You wouldn't be able to see them. So it's just a personal deal with me. It's in the docking mod itself. They don't have this quite right. Because you will get this whether you're on the dark side or the light side. It will still look like this. And it needs to have some more detail. It needs to look like that. If it looked like it really does, then it would be drowning out the thrusters. So that mod needs to make some little adjustments. This mod hasn't been updated, this docking mod, for ages. So it's still one of my favorite mods. It's one of those I won't fly without it kind of deals. But that's just one of the things that could be improved. Okay, now I need to turn off one of these engines, which is this one, because this one's the one that's going to be doing the work. And I want to go to the docking port and make sure I'm controlling from the right spot. When I do my next burn, which is going to be a return burn. To break free of the moon's gravity and put me on a trajectory back to Earth. One thing about this craft, it has plenty of fuel every which way. I don't have to worry about fuel in any phase of this flight. And I can't say the same thing about the Apollo, which is still one of my favorite missions to fly. And I use a combination of Blue Dog, FASA, and the DLC parts to come up with my own Apollo craft that I like the best. But it's one that has some limitations on coming back to Earth when you're done with your mission. You know, putting it in a free trajectory back to Earth is no problem. The problem is trying to get it back into an Earth's orbit first so you can dictate more where you want it to land. This one I don't have that problem because I have fuel up the yang yang. I mean, this craft holds so much more fuel than the Apollo command module, service module does. So doing this is a piece of cake. So let me do a save first. Because every once in a while, when you do this warp out of that moon's gravity, the Kraken will get you. And it's done that to me a few times. And explode my craft and send me into the sun or something. So I always remember to save there so I can go back to it if the Kraken decides to do his thing on me again. My planes are good. You can see I have no periapsis, meaning I'm on a free return. Like if I was on the Apollo craft, I wouldn't have to do anything else. The thing is, you're still quite a ways away. So there's going to be many revolutions of the Earth before you get there, so you have no control over where it's going to be. And I like landing on the lit side, and I like landing on land. So to give me control over that, I first have to establish an orbit. So we're going to go ahead and set our periapsis to 100. We're going to do it at a fixed time. And now it's going to set me a periapsis, and it's going to be a pretty short burn. The only other burn I need to make is an inclination burn, but I don't have to do that this time because I'm right on the money. Sometimes when you go to Minmus and come back and get in the same spot, it won't be the case. You'll be like in one of these orbits, you'll have to make an inclination burn. But for this one, I'm okay. So now we got our periapsis set. The only thing I need to do now is circularize at the periapsis. There we are. Okay, got my orbit. Do a little quick save. Close enough. Now I can go ahead and set up my actually I might be able to do this.
hombre, voy a querer a su.
That's one of my issues about this right here too. About MechJeb does pinpoint landing on the moon, but it doesn't do as good a job on the Earth. And I guess it's because Earth has an atmosphere and it's having to do a lot more calculations. But it's not nearly as accurate coming back to Earth as it is on the moon. I mean, on the moon, you can put stuff within 3 feet of something. It's that dead accurate. But on the Earth, man, I haven't found it to even be close to where I'm telling it to go. It's like it makes too many movements. So like right now, it seems like it's making way more movements than it needs to. Should make a couple of burns, and you would think that would kind of be it, instead of all this stuff that it's doing right now. Let's retract the panels since I don't need them anymore. It's only letting me control one. It's not letting me control this one. Oh, I know why, because those aren't retractable. That's right. See if a little warping will help me out here. Got rid of those just in time. See what I mean? That didn't even get me close to where I told it to go. At least it got me on land, which is one of the things I wanted. One of the reasons I like landing on land is I like seeing these two guys right here detonate when they hit the ground. And I think they're both going to make it in the ground. I think. I know this one will. Get ready to arm the chutes. And then the auto will take over on the altitude. Gonna have a drogue and a main. There was one that hit the ground. I think the other one must have went in the ocean. Success. See, Kirby's? Maybe you guys will give me that rookie flight suit now. Later, dudes.